The Oscars are right around the corner, but with so many changes put in place by the Academy, a lot of question marks remain. One of the biggest and most shocking problems on the face of the Oscars before it even happens is that there's no host.
I think the last time this happened was the 1989 Academy Awards, and that was kind of infamous because Rob Lowe did his duet with Snow White, so it's sort of, how are they going to kick off this ceremony, you know, going into what can be a pretty long evening of handing out awards.
Have you heard anything about how this might go down?
They said that the unofficial word is that they're going to not have a host, but they're going to have a whole bunch of A-list talent as presenters, and that's going to keep the excitement going. But I don't think people are sitting at home saying to themselves, you know, I wasn't going to watch the Oscars, but you know, Daniel Craig is going to present the Sound Mixing Awards, so I'm going to, you know, carve out some time on Sunday night. It's just a kind of a stupid idea.
No matter how big of a star you are, that's probably a tough sell to say viewers are going to tune in just for a presenter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think if you look at it right now, right, movie stardom isn't what it used to be. I mean, we see these people all the time. If you're on TMZ or anything, you're constantly seeing them by Instagram. Buying groceries. This isn't our only chance to get a gander at Warren Beatty or something.
Well, speaking of big names, one of the biggest names in Hollywood, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, just kind of dropped a bombshell. A fan had asked him, why don't you host the Oscars next year? And he said, well, I was actually the first choice of the Academies, but I can't because I'm busy with Jumanji. Now, we all thought Kevin Hart was the first choice. Kevin Hart is, of course, Dwayne Johnson's co-star in Jumanji. Now, Dwayne Johnson probably has a more rigorous schedule. He's producing. This is really his film. But what did that say about the status of where the Oscars is right now?
It shows you how ludicrous this idea is, that they were sort of trying to float, that they were always kind of wanting to shake things up and maybe go with a hostless Oscars. I mean, they were not trying to do that. They wanted a big name to host the Oscars, and nobody wanted to do it because it's a thankless job and you're torn apart on Twitter. You know, the upside just isn't there in the way that it used to be.
Right. Now, one of the problems with having a hostless Oscars is the lack of promotion. Usually we're used to seeing Jimmy Kimmel pop up on your screen and do a great commercial. How is that going to be problematic in just promoting the show for viewership?
Well, I think what they're leaning on is the fact that, for once, the Academy's actually nominated a lot of movies that people actually went to see. Movies like Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody. The average box office for Best Picture nominees is the highest it's been in about a decade. If you look back, the highest rated Oscar broadcast was Titanic, which of course was a huge global blockbuster when Titanic won that year. I'm not sure that that's still the case. If you look at what this race really comes down to, it's really a race between like Roma and Green Book, and nobody knows how much Roma made at the box office, but I don't think it did too well in the flyover states. Green Book, you know, it did okay, but isn't a huge blockbuster.
One of the most controversial decisions that the Academy made and then flip-flopped, of course, was not having every single nominee for the Best Song category perform. Originally, they said we're only going to have 2 performers, Lady Gaga and Kendrick Lamar. Then they reversed that after a lot of backlash, and they said everyone's going to perform.
If you want to teach a course on how to not do PR, I would suggest you look no further than the Academy, because this group has just made one foul up after the next. And how would they not have understood that this would be incredibly insulting to people to have this big moment taken away from them? Part of their membership are PR specialists. I mean, they should know better than how to do this, but they keep putting their foot in their mouth. If it's the, you know, the popular movie category or the best song category, they keep insulting people needlessly.
They did do something else. They said that last year's winners in the acting categories are not going to be the presenters, which historically they are, and Allison Janney was one of the people who spoke out against that.
Yeah, now they've walked that one back too, and they are going to present in some capacity. And I'm not sure they ever officially said it, but a report kind of leaked out that they were considering this. And again, just insulting to people who should have this moment. It's not just that you win the acting Oscar, it's tradition that you go and you present the award to the next recipient. And there's some history there that this year's Oscar producers are overly eager to throw out the window.
All right, well, Brent, you're not a member of the Academy and you're not producing the Oscars, but you are an expert in this field. So what do you think that can be done to improve the telecast?
Well, you know, one thing I think that they should bring back are broadcasting the honorary Oscars, because if you look back at history, some of the high points have been screen legends accepting this award. I mean, people like Kirk Douglas, Peter O'Toole, Charlie Chaplin coming back from exile in Europe to accept his honorary Oscar. These are real high points of these shows. And when you look at the Golden Globes, Oprah gave a speech that, had people speculate she was going to run for president. Meryl Streep gave that really stirring call to be more tolerant and empathetic in this political moment. And I think you're missing something by having that not be part of the broadcast.